you ever noticed that some people almost never seem to get sick, even when everyone else around them is coughing, sniffling, and calling in sick from work? Have you ever wondered why two people of the same age and similar workload can walk completely different health paths, with one collapsing all the time while the other looks like they are aging in reverse? Welcome back to the channel, my friend. I am your companion on this road of awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny. Today we are going to walk into a topic that on the surface looks like health and immunity, but underneath it is really about your entire way of living, your karmic habits, and the destiny you are quietly shaping every single day. The original article we are expanding from points to something very interesting. It says that people whose immunity is amazingly good are not necessarily born with better genes or blessed by random luck. Most of the time, they are doing 5 small things, quietly, regularly, almost invisibly. Not dramatic changes, not extreme diets, not desperate chases after the latest miracle supplement. Just small, consistent choices that honor the body as the vehicle of your life, respect the laws of cause and effect, and support a calmer, wiser mind. So in this long script, instead of lecturing you with health slogans, let me tell you stories. Stories about people who burned themselves out in the name of success, and others who learned to treat their body as a partner instead of a slave. Stories about how sleep, food, emotions, movement, and spiritual practice weave together to create a kind of quiet shield around you. And, most importantly, stories about how all of this is deeply connected to awakening karma, not just 2 blood tests and medical reports. Imagine 2 people, both around 45 years old. One is called Victor. He works in a busy office, lives in a big city, and proudly calls himself a machine. His favorite sentence is, "I can sleep when I am dead." He drinks coffee like water, lives on takeout, scrolls his phone until late at night, and considers any form of exercise a waste of time. When colleagues mention health, he laughs. "I am still young. I have no time to think about that." The other is called Elena. She is the same age, also has a stressful job, and also has a family to take care of. On paper, her life is just as busy as Victor's, maybe even more so. But if you look closely, she moves differently through her days. She still answers emails and attends meetings, but she also does 5 quiet things over and over without talking much about it. At 35, they look similar. At 45, they no longer do. When flu season hits the office, Victor collapses first. High fever, sore throat. He drags himself to work anyway, because he thinks resting is weak. His condition worsens. He ends up in bed for days, angry at his bad luck and blaming the weather, the air conditioning, the virus. During the same season, Elena also feels a little tired. Her throat starts to itch, but the symptoms never become severe. She moves a bit slower, goes to bed earlier, drinks warm water, continues her small habits, and after a few days she feels fine. People say she is so lucky, she has good immunity. But if you could see behind the curtain of their daily lives, you would realize that what we call luck is often just cause and effect in disguise. Let us follow them each through an ordinary day. Not a dramatic day, not a day of hospital visits or disasters, but one of those regular days that you might consider nothing special. Because it is exactly in those nothing special days that your immunity, your health, and your destiny are being quietly shaped. Victor's alarm rings at 6:30, He stayed up until after 1 in the morning watching videos and scrolling through social media. His mind was buzzing with other people's dramas, news, and arguments. When the alarm sounds, his first reaction is irritation. He hits snooze 3 times. Each time he drifts back into shallow sleep, dreams mixing with worry about the day. Finally, he drags himself up at 7, already late. He has no time for breakfast. He gulps down a cup of coffee on an empty stomach, throws on clothes, and rushes out the door. On the train, he stares at his phone again, feeding his already overloaded mind with more noise. His body feels stiff, his eyes dry. By the time he reaches the office, his nervous system has already been in a state of low-grade stress for hours. There has been no moment of calm, no deep breath, no sense of arrival. Elena wakes up at 6. She also slept late when she was younger. Years of that taught her the hard way that her body is not made of steel. Now she tries, most nights, to go to bed before 11. Not perfectly, not always, but often enough that her body trusts her again. When the alarm rings, she does not reach for her phone immediately. She takes one slow breath, notices her body, and silently says a short sentence of gratitude. It might be a simple thank you for another day, or a gentle phrase that connects her to something beyond her worries. For a few seconds, her mind is not yet pulled outward. She sits up, stretches her arms, rotates her neck, and stands by the window. She opens the curtains, lets the morning light touch her face, and takes several deeper breaths. Her immune system, quietly responsive to lightened breath, receives the signal that a new day has begun in harmony with the natural rhythm. She does not spend a long time, maybe 3 minutes, but in those 3 minutes, something important happens. Her body is acknowledged, her mind is gathered. Her day does not begin with panic or irritation, but with a small act of mindful awakening. This is the first hidden habit of people whose immunity seems mysteriously strong. They give their body real rest and a clear rhythm, instead of treating it like a disposable tool. It is not about chasing some perfect, rigid schedule. It is about recognizing that sleep is not laziness. It is the time your body uses to repair, clean, and reset. From the perspective of cause and effect, every night you steal from your sleep without good reason, you are borrowing from your future immunity with high interest. You might not pay immediately, but the bill will arrive when you rest well. However, you are planting good seeds for your immune system. Hormones balance, inflammation lowers, organs quietly do their work. Your mind, which affects your body more than you realize, has a chance to soften its grip. In spiritual terms, honoring sleep and daily rhythm is like respecting the borrowed house your soul is living in. This body is the vehicle through which you practice compassion, create karma, love people, and learn wisdom. If you constantly drive this vehicle to the edge of breakdown, you are not just being tough, you are sabotaging your own path. After arriving at work, Victor sits down at his desk. He opens his laptop and starts to answer emails. His breakfast is another coffee and a sugary pastry he grabbed from a vending machine. His energy spikes for a while, then crashes. When lunchtime comes, he is starving. He orders fast food with colleagues, greasy, salty, heavy. He eats while staring at his screen, barely tasting the food. He feels heavy afterward, but drinks a strong coffee to push himself through the afternoon. On the surface, this looks like modern normal. Stress, fast food, caffeine, no big deal. Everyone does it, but his digestive system is silently protesting. His gut, which houses a large part of the immune system, is constantly irritated, inflamed, and confused by the flood of sugar and chemicals. At the same time, he carries a belief that health is mainly about big things, major illnesses, obvious pain. He does not notice the small signs: brain fog, afternoon exhaustion, frequent colds, slow recovery. He has become numb to the whispers of his body. Ilana's relationship with food looks different, not because she is a health saint, but because she has slowly learned to pay attention. She used to eat like Victor: instant noodles at midnight, skipped breakfasts, emotional snacking. In her early 30s, she experienced a period of constant colds, digestion issues, and fatigue. Doctors found no serious disease but told her, "Your body is running on reserves. You need to change your lifestyle." She realized that if she wanted to continue working, caring for her family, and walking her spiritual path, she could not treat food as an afterthought. Now in the morning, she eats something simple, warm, and real: porridge, eggs, fruit, whole grains. She does not make it complicated. She just avoids starting the day with pure sugar and processed food. At lunch, she tries to eat slowly for at least 10 minutes without staring at a screen. Even if she is at her desk, she puts the phone down. She looks at her food, takes a breath, and silently thanks the chain of causes and conditions that brought it to her plate: earth, water, farmers, transporters, cooks. That one breath of gratitude shifts her nervous system from fight minus or minus flight into a more relaxed state. In that state, digestion happens more smoothly and immunity is strengthened. She is not perfect. There are days when she eats snacks, days when she is rushed, but overall, there is a pattern of respect for the body, respect for food, respect for the law that what you take in will shape what you become. This is the second quiet habit of superimmunity. They nourish rather than constantly assault their body with what they eat and drink. They do not need expensive superfoods or extreme diets. They simply choose, most of the time, real food over empty fuel. And they eat in a way that their body can handle. From a deeper perspective, this is also about karma. Every bite you take is a relationship with the world. Are you eating in a way that is conscious, moderate, and grateful? Or are you eating in a way that is unconscious, excessive, and driven by craving? That difference impacts not only your waistline, but the energy of your mind. Now let us look at movement. Victor spends almost the entire day sitting. Desk, chair, car, couch. His body is designed by nature to move, to walk, stretch, bend, reach, but his current life asks almost nothing of it. When his muscles send signals of stiffness, he responds with more coffee, painkillers, or distraction. He tells himself he has no time to exercise, yet he has time to scroll through his phone for hours. When friends suggest going for a walk after dinner, he laughs. "I am too tired." He collapses onto the sofa and lets images wash over his eyes until it is late again. His blood circulation is sluggish. His lymphatic system, which helps clear waste and support immunity, is like a lazy river. The body becomes a storage room for unburned fuel and unexpressed stress. Ilana does not have a gym membership. She does not run marathons. She simply moves. She walks to the station instead of always taking a taxi. She uses the stairs when it is reasonable. When she has a 10-minute break, she stands up, stretches her shoulders, rotates her hips, and lets her blood flow. On weekends, she tries to get at least a little sunlight on her skin. A slow walk in the park, standing under a tree and breathing, looking at the sky, away from screens. Again, these are not dramatic actions, but they are consistent. They tell her body, you are alive, you are needed, you are not a trapped animal. This is the third quiet habit. They move their body gently and regularly, so that energy, blood, and lymph can do their work. They understand that a stagnant body becomes a stagnant mind, and that stagnation attracts stillness. Movement, in contrast, invites life force, clears emotional residue, and supports immunity. From a spiritual angle, movement is not just physical. It is also a metaphor for not staying stuck in old patterns. When you move your body, you are also less likely to stay trapped in repetitive thoughts. Walking can become meditation. Stretching can become a way of saying, I am willing to change. I am willing to flow with life instead of resisting every current. Now we come to something even more hidden, but perhaps even more important than sleep, food, and exercise emotions. You can eat organic food, sleep 8 hours, and go to yoga. But if your heart is full of resentment, worry, and unprocessed grief, your immunity will still suffer. Chronic negative emotions release stress hormones that quietly suppress immune function. From the view of cause and effect, every thought and feeling is a cause with a potential result. Victor carries a lot of anger, injustice at work, old hurts from childhood, frustration toward the world, but he does not know how to handle them. He oscillates between two extremes, exploding at small things or numbing himself with distraction. When he is angry, he smokes or drinks. When he is sad, he scrolls aimlessly. When he is worried, he eats or works more. He rarely talks honestly about his feelings. If someone asks, he shrugs, I am fine. Inside, his emotional body is full of unresolved knots. These knots send signals to his nervous system: we are not safe, we are not seen, we are not heard. The nervous system, in turn, remains in a state of constant mild alarm. In that state, the immune system is down-regulated because the body is too busy surviving imaginary or remembered threats to invest in long-term repair. Elena has also been hurt in life. She has experienced betrayal, loss, disappointment. She also feels anger, sadness, fear, and jealousy. The difference is not that she has no emotions, but that she has slowly learned not to suppress them or let them rule her. When something upsets her deeply, she tries, when she can, to pause. She feels where the emotion sits in her body, maybe in her chest, maybe in her throat. She takes a few breaths into that area. Then she expresses it in a conscious way. Sometimes she writes. Sometimes she speaks with a trusted friend. Sometimes she cries. She also has a small, regular practice of emotional hygiene. Before bed, she reviews her day briefly. She asks herself, is there anyone I am still angry with? Is there anything I am holding on to? If she finds something, she acknowledges it. She may not be ready to forgive completely, but she is willing to move one step closer to letting go. And she constantly reminds herself of cause and effect, that holding grudges hurts her own heart first. That forgiveness is not approving of harm, but freeing herself from chains. This is the fourth quiet habit of super immunity. They do not let toxic emotions pile up indefinitely. They process, express, and transform them gradually. They treat their inner world like a garden that needs weeding, not like a junkyard where everything can be dumped and forgotten. From the point of view of awakening, this is central. The mind and body are not two separate countries. They are one ecosystem. When you cultivate compassion, patience, and wisdom in your heart, your immune system receives the benefit. When you cultivate bitterness, chronic complaint, and constant comparison, your immunity pays the price. Finally, there is one more habit that ties all the others together, a form of daily spiritual practice, however simple, that connects you to something bigger than your fears. Victor believes that only what can be seen and measured is real. He laughs at spirituality. He thinks that people who meditate or pray are naive. Yet when he lies awake at night, staring at the ceiling, feeling a kind of emptiness chewing at his heart, he has nowhere to place that feeling. He has no language for his existential anxiety. He feels alone in the universe. That sense of isolation is itself a stress. It drains his resilience. Ilana does not claim to be a saint, but each day she gives herself at least a few minutes of conscious connection. Sometimes she sits quietly and watches her breath. Sometimes she recites a sacred name or phrase associated with compassion and enlightenment. Sometimes she simply places her hand on her heart and whispers, "May I live today with wisdom. May I cause less harm. May I remember that everything I think, say, and do has consequences." These few minutes do not remove her problems. Her bills still exist. Her deadlines still exist. Her family still has conflicts. But they change the way she meets those problems. She begins to see events not only as random attacks from life, but as parts of a larger web of karma and learning. She understands that illness can sometimes be a messenger, asking her to slow down or change course. She feels, even if only faintly on some days, that she is not entirely alone. There is a deeper kindness in the fabric of reality that she can lean into. This is the fifth quiet habit they feed their spirit, not just their body and mind. They regularly point their intention toward awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny. You might ask, what does this have to do with immunity? Everything. When you carry a sense of meaning, when you feel connected to something larger than your personal drama, your nervous system relaxes in a fundamental way. You may still feel stress, but underneath the waves you sense an ocean of support. That inner trust has measurable effects. Blood pressure lowers, inflammation markers drop, immune cells function more efficiently. From the deepest perspective, the body you have in this life is not an accident. It is shaped by past actions, intentions, and habits. But what you do now can still influence how that karma ripens. You cannot suddenly change your entire genetic blueprint. But through these 5 small habits, you can create conditions in which your genes and your destiny express their best possible version, not their worst. Now, let us step out of Victor and Daylan's story and turn the light gently toward your own life. You might be thinking, I am not as bad as Victor, but I am not as disciplined as Elena either. I sleep late sometimes. I eat carelessly. I sit too much. My emotions are messy. My spiritual practice is inconsistent. If so, welcome to the human club. The point of this exploration is not to make you feel guilty. It is to help you see that your immunity is not a lottery ticket. It is, to a large extent, the result of how you live today. Do not underestimate small changes. If you go to bed 30 minutes earlier most nights, that adds up 2 hours of extra repair each week. If you swap 1 sugary drink a day for water or tea, that removes hundreds of grams of sugar from your system over a month. If you take a 10-minute walk daily, That is more than an hour of movement a week. If you spend 5 minutes each evening reviewing your emotions, that is over 2 hours of psychological cleaning a month. If you use 3 minutes a day for quiet spiritual practice, you are building more than an hour and a half of deep inner contact every month. Over years, these choices compound. They become part of your karmic bank account, part of your destiny's architecture. Of course, there are things you cannot control: accidents, genetic predispositions, environmental factors. The teachings on cause and effect are not an invitation to blame yourself for every illness. Sometimes, beings carry old karma that ripens as sickness despite a healthy lifestyle. But even then, your habits matter. To people with the same diagnosis can walk very different paths. One may face it with resilience, support their body with good rest and nutrition, process their emotions, rely on spiritual strength, and live with surprising quality for many years. The other may give up, drown in rage and despair, and collapse faster. The 5 quiet habits we have talked about are not guarantees of immortality. Nothing is. They are expressions of respect for life. They are ways of cooperating with the healing forces already present in your body and in the universe. Let us now reflect on how these habits connect directly to awakening and wisdom. Real spiritual maturity is not shown by how many complicated doctrines you can recite, but by how you live your ordinary days. Do you honor cause and effect by sleeping in a way that supports clarity? Do you treat your body as a sacred vehicle by feeding it reasonably rather than punishing it? Do you practice compassion, not only toward others, but toward your own selves, by moving, breathing, and letting emotions flow? Do you remember, even briefly each day, that your life has a deeper purpose than chasing numbers on a paycheck or likes on a screen? If you live carelessly and then expect a few minutes of prayer to fix everything, you are misunderstanding the law of karma. Prayer and recitation are powerful, but they are meant to guide and strengthen your daily choices, not replace them. Wisdom means seeing that the way you live right now is your practice. Washing dishes can be practice if you do it with awareness and gratitude. Going to bed on time can be practice if you see it as an offering to your future self. Choosing a simple meal over a harmful one can be practice if you do it with the intention to take better care of this body that allows you to love and serve. Compassion means not only feeling sorry for others, but also refusing to abuse your own body and mind. It means saying no to patterns that poison you slowly, whether they are foods, relationships, thought loops, or work habits. Destiny is not a fixed road you are forced to walk. It is a living, shifting path that responds to your steps. Every night you sleep better, every meal you eat with more care, every emotion you process instead of suppressing, every moment you connect with a higher intention, you are moving your destiny slightly. The path may still have storms, but you will meet them with a stronger ship. At this point, let me share a scene that might feel familiar. Imagine you are in your 40s or 50s. You meet an old classmate you have not seen in 20 years. Once upon a time, you were the same age, the same energy, the same late nights on instant noodles. Now, standing in front of you is a person who looks 10 years older or younger than their birth certificate. Their eyes reveal more than any cream or surgery. Are they dull or bright? Are they filled with complaint or with quiet gratitude? As you talk, you sense their inner weather. Some people radiate a kind of heaviness, as if they are dragging invisible chains. Others radiate a relaxed strength, as if they have been polishing themselves with care, even through hardship. This difference did not appear overnight. It was crafted by countless small choices. You do not need to compare. That is not the point. The point is to see clearly that reverse aging after middle age is not just a matter of cosmetics. It is the natural result of living more in alignment with the body's needs, the mind's health, and the soul's purpose. If you still have years ahead of you, it is not too late to shift. If you are already facing the consequences of past neglect, it is still meaningful to change now. Every small act of care you begin today is like planting a tree whose shade you or others will enjoy later. Now, as we gently close this long reflection, I want to speak to you as if we were sitting together at the end of a long day, sharing tea. Maybe your immunity is not great right now. Maybe you catch colds easily, feel tired all the time, or struggle with chronic issues. Maybe you feel betrayed by your own body, angry that it does not cooperate with your ambitions. Maybe you feel guilty, thinking, if only I had lived differently earlier. Take a breath. Blame will not heal you. Panic will not strengthen your immunity. But honest reflection, humble adjustments, and steady practice can. You do not have to overhaul your entire life in one dramatic burst. In fact, most extreme transformations fail because they are not sustainable. Instead, ask yourself quietly, where can I start with one small change that I can actually keep? Maybe it is going to bed 20 minutes earlier. Maybe it is adding one fresh piece of fruit to your day. Maybe it is taking a 10-minute walk after lunch. Maybe it is writing a few lines in a notebook each night about how you really feel. Maybe it is placing your hand on your heart for 1 minute in the morning and saying, "May I live this day with a little more wisdom," from the perspective of awakening. These are not trivial. They are acts of alignment. They declare to the universe, I am willing to cooperate with the laws of life, not fight them. I am willing to take responsibility for my destiny. Over time, as you build these habits, you may find that your immunity improves, your energy stabilizes, your mood becomes more even, and your relationships feel more peaceful. You will still get sick sometimes. That is part of being human. But illness will no longer feel like a random punishment. It will feel like part of a larger learning journey, one that you are walking with more courage and clarity. Now, my friend, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed that certain small habits made a big difference in your health? Do you know someone who seems to never get sick? And when you look closely, you realize they live with a quiet kind of wisdom. Are you yourself trying to build new habits around sleep, food, movement, emotions, or spiritual practice? What has helped you? And where are you still struggling? If you feel comfortable, I invite you to share your experiences and reflections in the comments. Your story might be the exact encouragement someone else needs to take their first small step. Sometimes reading, I am 48 and started walking daily last year, and it changed everything, can give someone courage that no abstract health advice can provide. If this long script has given you insight, comfort, or motivation, please remember to support the channel. You can subscribe so that you will not miss future content on awakening, wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, practice, and destiny. You can like this video so that more people who feel exhausted and unlucky with their health can discover that their immunity is not just fate. You can leave a comment to join our conversation, ask questions, or offer your own tips. And if you feel called to walk more closely with this community, you can become a member to support the ongoing creation of content that nurtures both body and soul. Thank you, truly, for staying with me all the way until the end. May you sleep in a way that repairs you. May you eat in a way that nourishes you. May you move in a way that frees you. May you feel in a way that heals you. May you practice in a way that awakens you. And may your immunity, your health, and your destiny all gently turn toward more light, more clarity, and more compassion, one small habit at a time. There are moments when you see something, and your heart simply whispers, "This one is meant for me." Bracelet carries more than beads. It carries intention, protection, and quiet strength. Something to guide your thoughts and keep your spirit steady. If you felt that gentle pull toward any of the bracelets shown, the purchase link is waiting in the description, and the full collection is displayed on our channel store. Follow your intuition. It rarely leads you wrong.